Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new Northern Valley where we are getting around to doing our stadium district. Yes, Lockwood is finally getting a couple sports team. It's been kind of long overdue, but I think these citizens are going to be happy to have a pretty wide variety of sports in terms of like the selection we have. So we have the baseball stadium, obviously. That's my favorite sport personally, so I had to throw the baseball stadium in there. We're also getting a football or soccer, whichever you prefer, stadium, and we're also putting down an arena, which is actually the United Center. So we're gonna have a hockey, and actually probably could have done a basketball team too. So this is all kind of made up stuff. We don't actually have sports teams in this game, although a sports DLC would be kind of cool. I've always talked about having like an actual sports team mechanic in the game where your team, if it's good, actually draws a lot more people downtown, and a lot of people go to the bars around the stadium, and if your team's really bad, no one cares. But I think that would be a really cool, interesting new take on a city builder. But fortunately, we don't have that, so hopefully in the future we maybe get something like that. But we did get the Matchday DLC, which kind of implemented a little bit of that kind of stuff, but I'd really love to see like a more widespread implementation of that. But anyway, that is basically all we're doing in this episode, is just work around the football stadium and the baseball stadium. Now, the baseball stadium that I have actually came in a plethora of varieties. So there were a few different models that I had for some reason, and they were basically the same stadium. Someone just had scaled one up, and we actually end up using the scaled up version, which I think is a bit more realistic. But I guess you guys can let me know in the comments when we get a better look at it. But right now, we're just trying to connect up the infrastructure on this island. This was actually kind of a big decision to make, and it was one that really took me a little while to try to figure out. I really was unsure of how to get these roads in. We have a lot of bridges coming into this island, and they have to kind of make sense somehow. So it was kind of a toss-up. I had a lot of people in the stream chat helping me out there, so big shout out to those guys there. But and in the end, I think we do a pretty decent job, but of course we're not going to really know until we get a lot of traffic down on this island. So that stands to be decided. But anyway, you're going to notice a lot of, well, we actually had the stadium set up. There was a lot of decision making going on. I had to basically dig through all of my assets, figure out what I actually had downloaded, and try to piece this together. So in the end, we went with the Stamford Bridge. I really hope I didn't just butcher that. It's the Chelsea Stadium from Europe, of course. And I love this soccer stadium because of the front on it. It's got like a cool little residential facade on one side, which I don't remember. We talked about this a bit in the Twitch chat, but I don't remember if that's just like front offices or if that's actually like apartments attached to the stadium. But I love how that looks. So from one end, you're not really gonna notice much of like a sports stadium feel. But if you're coming across the two bridges from the port, you're gonna see all of this, the stadiums and the parking, which we are gonna actually wrap up the time lapse with a bunch of parking lots. I was pretty excited about how these parking lots came out, so stay tuned for that. But yes, I love these two stadiums together. The United Center, I should mention, we actually don't touch in this episode. We'll be doing that next, so that's that. But I love how these two stadiums, this baseball stadium and the soccer stadium, kind of mesh together. And you're actually seeing me right now go in and start to put a couple buildings together. So with this baseball stadium in particular, I really wanted to kind of expand it a little bit and make it look so much, or not so much, like a standalone stadium. I wanted to kind of incorporate that small town feel that we kind of have throughout our city, and I really wanted to get that involved in this island. So we're trying to, it's really kind of tough. I'm trying to take influence from the main city of Lockwood and bring it down over onto this island, but it is really hard. But I love these, especially the corner building that we put on the, what would be the left field corner of the baseball stadium. I love how it looks. It's all glass and it wraps completely around. It's a true corner building. And then on either side of those, we have some brick buildings that went in, and it really ties the look of the entire thing together. I love it. Of course, I'm going to show you guys more in depth as we get into the live portion, but we are moving on now to, I think, the parking lots. We're just going around with some of these barriers and trying to really barricade in, because we have these key walls here. I really wanted to create kind of like a safety net kind of type thing where we kind of have these artificial walls involved over here so no one could, drive off of them or whatever. I don't know what people do in this game. I've seen crazy stuff, but we have a really wide open spot down here for parking. So the thing about this was I went through and I started doing some of the parking, and then I end up redoing it. I'm not sure how much I left in this time lapse. It's been actually quite a while since I recorded this time lapse on stream and then actually edited it, and now I'm finally getting around to, doing the voiceover work. But I guess now's a good time to talk about what I kind of feel for Northern Valley. I am really kind of, I want to wrap this series up, is what it boils down to. My heart just, I don't think, is in it as much as it was. Now, that's not to say that I don't want to keep doing City Skylines content. So I want to wrap this up, and I really think that this island is going to be the last thing that we do for this particular series. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see an airport down and all that kind of stuff. I don't think I want to continue this series. I feel like there's something about loading this save up to me. It's just, I don't know. I want to start fresh, and I really want to just wipe out all of my mods and all of my assets and completely revisit the game in a new light. And I really want to start doing maybe smaller projects, because this city has gone on for over, I think, 2 years now. It's such a long series. I never intended this series to be this long. And obviously it's been on and off on the channel. I can't keep it consistent like I really should. So I really want to wind this down and start to do really more mini projects, maybe 10 episode long projects where we do really hyper detailed work around in City Skylines. I feel like that could be fun. You guys can let me know in the comments. Let me know with a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you feel one way or the other strongly. And we'll, I guess, continue talking about this as we move forward. But if that plan holds true, there may only be a couple more series or a couple more videos of this city. So I don't know. Let me know how you feel about that. Of course, I know a lot of you guys are going to jump on me right away. You're probably already typing, if you end the series, blow up the dam. And I think that is the plan. Yes, we are going to do a really cool cinematic type thing with that. So it should be fun. So I don't know. It's going to be sad and happy at the same time. I'm looking forward to the future of City Skylines on my channel. And I feel like we can do a little bit more. And I feel like I could be a little bit more, I guess, enthusiastic about loading up City Skylines and doing a series and a recording for you guys. But anyway, as I've been talking about that, we've been doing probably my favorite part of this build, and that is the baseball stadium detail work in front of it. So I really wanted to create this really cool open plaza. And the funny thing about this baseball stadium is that, like every building in this game, needs to be connected to a road. This stadium is no different than that. The weird thing about this is that whoever blew up this stadium didn't move the points for the road connections. So if you actually want to legitimately hook up this stadium to a road, the road has to go through the inside of the stadium, and it looks awful. So technically, you're actually going to see the icon flashing above the stadium. Technically, this isn't connected to a road. It's really not that big of a deal, but it is kind of funny. But anyway, because of that, I wanted to set the stadium back a little bit, and then we went ahead with this brick little plaza work over here, and it really opens the space up. And you probably saw me go through and put a bunch of path work underneath these decals. Yeah, people actually can walk around the stadium. It looks great when people are wandering about. It looks like there's gonna be a game happening, and it just looks pretty cool. And of course, you saw the anchor statue go up on the fountain. I wanted to do something over there as like a corner piece, but I was digging through and I actually found that anchor, and I was like, you know what, this can actually work. And perhaps the team is like the Lockwood Anchors or something like that. I'm not sure what the team name would be, but I guess maybe you guys can come up with something in the comments for the baseball team here. But yeah, I felt like that worked. And then of course, we're going around and actually adding a bunch of billboards, which is something that I really have never done in this game, and that's one of those things that it's like the hyper detail work that I want to start doing. So I found a bunch of billboards, I laid a bunch of them out on this area, because I figure this area would be a very like marquee spot for billboards to go up, because there's going to be a lot of people just wandering about, going to the games. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and companies are totally going to want to get their name out there in a situation like that. So we got a bunch of billboards going around, and we actually put a bunch of billboards out in the outfield along the wall. That's something that you see a lot in pro sports nowadays, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. And then we, of course, had to go around the football or soccer stadium. I keep saying both because I know YouTube and I know the comments, and if I say it one way, I'm going to be wrong. If I say it the other way, I'm going to be wrong. So why not cover all the bases? But anyway, you're seeing the billboards go up on what is a really cool parking garage over there. And there's a really interesting thing about that parking garage is I put a road down with road anarchy, and it goes through that parking garage. So it actually works, and it actually looks like a parking garage. I don't know if it works like a real parking garage. I think it does. But anyway, it's pretty cool. But what you're seeing me do right now is something that I think we're going to be doing a lot more of in the future. This mod is the road parking lots mod. Don't quote me on that. I think it's something along those lines. But either way, it is such a cool mod, and it is a really interesting thing. So the parking spaces that you plop down on this actually account for, or actually have like a parking space in them. So cars will come over here and they will park in all of these spaces if they need to. Now this game, of course, the pocket car situation where people will just, drive up to a place and their car disappears into their pocket. Obviously that limits the usage of these parking lots, but it is a really cool thing because it actually creates all the islands for you. Now, all of the parking lots that we've done so far in this series have basically just been me painting concrete down and then putting parking spaces over it. Those were fine for a while, a long time ago when this game first came out, but now we have these really awesome parking lot roads, and this actually just shapes this area so much more. It looks so good. It looks great because the cars drive on the same level as the road, whereas the previous way I was doing parking lots, the cars would have to like hop the curb and the sidewalk and park on the same plane as the sidewalk, which really wasn't all that realistic. So these are really awesome, and when we're all set and done with this area turns out really nice. Now, in order to get this area to turn out really nice, I had to redo the key walls a couple different times, and I think that ends up being a little bit later in the time lapse. But before we go ahead and do that, we're setting up another lighthouse. Now, this I had a little bit of reservation about. We already have the lighthouse over on, I believe it's called Winstanley Isle. I really think that's the name. I could be wrong about that. It's been so long. Like I said, it's been probably a year or two since I've put that island down. But anyway, we have another lighthouse in the city that is in the main roundabout in the downtown Lockwood area. And this lighthouse is the third one. Now, I had a little bit of reservation about putting a third lighthouse in this area, in this city. And I was like, you know what? This one's actually, it's different than all of the other ones in terms of style. And I feel like it fits, and it fits the theme. I feel like if we had two teams down in this plaza area between the soccer team and the baseball team, they'd probably be nautical type themed teams, I would think, just to pay tribute to the history of this city. So I felt like a lighthouse down here would be kind of cool. And in my mind, I feel like it'd be really awesome if like a player for our baseball team hits a home run, the lighthouse starts spinning around and flashing. I feel like that would be really cool. Obviously you can't do that in this game, but we're gonna pretend that happens, and it is something that's pretty awesome. You actually saw me go ahead and take the decals and do a circular pattern around the lighthouse. That was a really cool concept, but it didn't really pan out the way I wanted it to. In the end, I had to really downscale what I did with that because of the way the decals kind of clipped through each other. So unfortunately, it wasn't as beautiful as I wanted it to be, but it ends up coming out pretty good. Now, right here, I think we probably got into a different day of recording here because we have these new things. Now, I've been watching a lot of Strict Toaster. I don't know if you guys are fans of him. If you aren't, go check him out. What are you doing? If you love City Skylines, he is one of the best. And he's been introducing me to a lot of new things as I watch his series. Those walls that I was putting down are actually a node-based wall system. So all of these props that I've been placing down for these barriers, those aren't needed anymore. So it actually saves us on some of the prop count in the game, and it makes doing this kind of work so much easier. So yes, we're actually taking all of those out and we're readjusting all our key walls, but you're gonna see me go through shortly here and go ahead and put those node-based walls up there. But we're just trying to kind of sketch out all of this parking back here. I really wanted this to be kind of open parking beside the parking garage. Obviously we had the parking garage here, but I love having all of these parking lots or parking spaces just thrown out in the back here. There's obviously the soccer stadium. If this was in Europe, we'd definitely need all of this parking. I'm not so sure. We do have a really American feel of a city here, so I'm not sure how big of a fan the Lockwoodians, I don't even know what to call people from Lockwood. I'm not sure how big of a fan they are of soccer, but a lot of parking over here. I figure it could double as the soccer or football parking and the baseball parking, whatever you need. And then I connected these parking lots up here and there as well to the little road, the loop that we have going on there. I figure there would probably be people attending, parking lot attendants, if you will. They're taking the cash to park because parking ain't free when you go to the game, So it is one of those things that I kind of left that open. I really didn't want to put like a ticket booth down in front of all of the areas where people could drive through or drive into the parking lots here. But anyway, the node-based walls, you're seeing me put those in now. Those they're a lifesaver, and they're very, very useful, and I cannot wait to start experimenting more with how these are going to work in the future. You put them in, they're kind of low down, and then you can, of course, bring them up. I'm not sure, I think they can get fairly tall, so there's a lot of flexibility with this, so it is kind of nice, but of course, the Move It tool helps tremendously there as well. You saw us put in a bus station, or a bus stop, or like a hub, I don't even know what you want to call it, in the middle of this plaza. We also put down a taxi stand because I felt like we needed something over there, and the buildings around this area were kind of annoying to figure out. I couldn't find on the workshop what I had envisioned so much. So this building that we have right here is some sort of like hotel. I'm not sure if we'd think that it's like a hotel in the game. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like the front offices, like I was saying, for the baseball team. I don't know. It fit really well over here. And what you're seeing us do now is actually a really awesome suggestion somebody had in the stream chat. And that is to make small gated parking areas where the teams would come in and park. So you'll see this a lot in professional sports stadiums. A lot of times I think it's under the stadium. There's actually like a tunnel where the players and the buses and the trucks that lug all the equipment over will actually go down underneath the stadium and unload all their stuff. And it's kind of like a safety thing where players can get to the stadium and not be mobbed by a bunch of people wanting autographs and that kind of stuff. So we did kind of try to work that in. Obviously it's not under the stadium. I guess we could have done something like that though. That could have been kind of cool. Maybe we'll do that for the United Center. Like I said, that isn't started in this episode, so maybe that's something we can do over there. But yes, I liked having this area, and of course the parking lot roads were kind of finicky, and they weren't really working out over here, so we just went back and did the old school parking lot situation. And I like having the parking lot road and then having that go into the little sidewalk road or whatever you want to call it, because it looks like cars don't have to just hop a curb. It actually makes a cool, smooth little transition over there. But anyway, I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and wind it down, and I'll see you guys in the live portion. All right, guys, we are live in front of what is apparently called Colossal Field and Stamford Bridge. So, yes, our little sports district is underway. Obviously, we have the United Center, which ominously kind of came into frame there, but that'll be in the next episode. Also, something that I forgot to mention if the game looks different to you, that's because we had gone in and tweaked a little bit of the LUT and all of the color correction. I wanted to give this kind of a little bit of a different feel. I always wanted the city to be a little bit more like washed out almost, if that makes any sense. A little less like vibrant because of the way the city's supposed to be like in the north and kind of on the sea. So I always thought of it more as that. I also wanted to try to get rid of the really bright greenish yellow grass, and I think we kind of have a little bit of something better going on here. I'm not really sure. But anyway, let's go ahead and check out what we had been doing in the time-lapse in a little bit more detail. Let's start with probably my favorite part, and this is the building that is connected to Colossal Field. Yes, this building is like a corner office. I like to think of this as more of like the front offices for the team and maybe other not apartments, but actual office suites in there. I think this is a really awesome building and it fit really well. I love that it's so modern, and it hides the fact that this is actually a baseball stadium. So coming across the bridge, you're like, oh, it's just another part of downtown. And then you probably drive this way a little bit and you're like, oh, actually this is the field. So let's go ahead and catch a game. But yeah, I think this is actually a really awesome thing. And of course, I was talking a little bit about it, but these two buildings on either side, these two little brick buildings, I wanted to work brick in as much as possible over here, but not like too much. So these trees are going to go away, by the way. But yeah, the stadium is brick, and I wanted to kind of work that in. You'll see a lot around the backside here. We'll have a lot of like kind of brick type buildings and that kind of thing going on here. And it just really, it came out really nice. Now, I had talked a little bit about the growables back here. I don't like what we have really. I wanted more of like an old town, maybe Boston type, like downtown bar where it's not like totally high rises, but it's like taller, maybe 3-4 story buildings with like maybe residencies above it, and then on the bottom floor we had like bars or something. Unfortunately, we didn't really get that. I couldn't find that. Maybe I'm just really bad at searching the workshop, but I'm sure they probably exist. I just couldn't find enough of them to kind of warrant it. So I tried to kind of adjust for that with the theme and the style that we have going on back here. There's really not a lot of space for growables back here, but I wanted some sort of like bar feel and recreational area back here because, I mean, it is a baseball stadium. You're going to get a lot of foot traffic, and I feel like bars around the stadiums are always a good idea. We'll probably try to do more like bars and stuff on this side of the road as well, but we also have to account for potentially some more parking around the United Center, and maybe I'm thinking maybe this will become some parking in here because it can tie the baseball and the United Center parking lots together. I mean, obviously, people could park over here for the baseball stadiums as well. It's just a little bit more of a walk, and then it is a little farther away from the United Center. Now, the United Center is going to actually be here. I think it may slightly alter where it is, but I like having it here kind of away from the other two arenas, if you want to call them arenas, because I don't know. I feel like it's kind of nice to have it a little bit separated in terms of like logistics for a city and a sports team and like fans. It might not be the most convenient thing, but I like having it a little farther away, and it kind of takes up a nice spot over here. I'm thinking of maybe sinking this down a little bit too to be more on the level of the water. So I feel like it's going to be kind of a nice little area. So that's about that. I did talk a lot about these parking lot roads. They look so good. When you're coming over this bridge, it really looks awesome, especially because you have the city in the background here. But yeah, it's so nice. You see a lot of parking like you would around the stadiums, and if they actually filled up with cars, it would be really cool, but unfortunately they don't. I'm not sure if I can get a car coming through this parking garage if I play the game here. There is a road like I was talking about. You can actually see it here. It goes through this parking garage, and it looks like cars actually go through the garage. It's really cool. I don't think we're going to see that, though, because of just the fact that there are no cars down here. But I don't know. You're seeing right now in the middle of the screen the little clipping on the decals, so that was a little bit of a compromise. I liked having a little bit of texture around this lighthouse, but if you get it at the wrong angle, it definitely clips through each other. And I tried to use the move it tool and move the decals up and down, but I don't think those decals are movable, unfortunately. So it is what it is. For pictures, it looks great, but if you get the camera angle at the wrong spot, it's not so good. I think that's gonna basically do it for this episode. The next episode, we're going to be working more around the United Center, and then the following episode, we're probably going to be doing the rest of this island with just some zoning and that kind of stuff. So that, I think, is going to wind this all down. Like I was saying, this series, I think we're about to end it. It is something that I really feel like I want to do, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be bummed about that because there was never an airport, and there's a lot of people who really wanted a military base, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to that. I want to start doing other projects. Maybe I'll start with like an airport. I'm not sure though, so don't quote me on that. But it's something that I just want to start branching out into other things for City Skylines. Maybe take on like a tropical build. Maybe not like a full city, not a huge scope of a project like we have been doing with this series, but something that I can be a little bit more consistent with and boot up and be really excited about doing. So I hope that's okay with you guys. I'm not sure. Thank you so much for sticking with the series this far. We'll wrap it up with something pretty cool, hopefully. And then I was thinking maybe we'll go through and do like a live stream on YouTube. Maybe you guys can join for that. I'm not sure. As like a farewell to the city. So let me know what you think about everything that's happened in this episode in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you guys back here in Northern Valley.